far beyond the edges of human space. Hidden inside a dark purple nebula, a giant station floated in complete silence. No stars could be seen there. No normal ship could enter. The station was invisible to almost every scanner in the galaxy. Thick clouds of cosmic dust covered it from all directions. Only the most powerful alien races knew this place existed. This was the hidden council chamber, the heart of the Galactic Council. Inside the station, thousands of lights glowed across long silver halls. Heavy doors made from black metal guarded every entrance. Armed soldiers stood perfectly still beside the walls. Not even one sound echoed through the chamber. Tonight was different. Every council member had been called for an emergency meeting. One by one, giant alien ships arrived outside the hidden station. Some ships looked like moving mountains. Others were shaped like sharp silver blades cutting through space. Blue energy shields covered the entire area. Nobody was allowed to leave. Nobody was allowed to send messages outside. This meeting was completely secret. Inside the main chamber, the leaders of the galaxy slowly took their seats around a massive glowing table. The table showed a holographic map of thousands of star systems spinning slowly in the air. Many races sat there. Tall, gray-skinned warriors from the northern sectors. Machine-like beings with glowing red eyes. Massive insect creatures wearing gold armor. Thin, pale diplomats from peaceful worlds. All of them looked serious. At the center of the room stood Supreme Chancellor Varric, the oldest member of the council. His long silver robe touched the floor as he slowly looked around the chamber. Nobody spoke. The silence itself felt heavy. Finally, Varric raised one hand. "The chamber is sealed," he said in a calm, deep voice. No signals leave the station. The lights became darker. Several guards locked the giant entrance doors. Varric continued speaking. "For thousands of years, the Council has protected the balance of the galaxy." A hologram suddenly appeared above the table. It showed one small blue planet, Earth. Immediately, whispers spread across the chamber. Some council members looked nervous. Others looked angry. One tall insect commander stood up quickly. "Humans are becoming dangerous," he said. "Their technology grows too fast. Their military grows stronger every cycle." Another alien leader nodded. "They are violent creatures," she added. "Even among themselves, they continue fighting wars." The hologram changed. Human cities appeared. Human warships. Human soldiers walking through fire and destruction. The council watched silently. Then another video appeared. Humans helping each other during disasters. Humans rebuilding destroyed cities. Humans exploring deep space. Humans surviving impossible situations. The chamber became quiet again. A machine-like council member spoke with a cold metallic voice. "Humans are unpredictable. That makes them dangerous. But useful," another diplomat replied calmly. The arguments slowly began. Some wanted humanity destroyed before it became too powerful. Others believed humans could become valuable allies. One alien leader slammed his hand against the glowing table. "You do not understand," he shouted. "Humans adapt too quickly. Every war makes them stronger." The chamber filled with angry voices. But Chancellor Varric remained silent. Then slowly, he activated another hologram. This time, the room became completely still. The hologram showed an ancient symbol glowing red in darkness. Many council members immediately lowered their heads in fear. Others looked shocked. One council member whispered quietly, "That symbol impossible." Varric's face looked darker than before. 3 cycles ago," he said slowly, "our deep space observatories detected a signal near Earth." Nobody moved. "The signal matches the records of civilization that vanished millions of years ago." Fear spread across the chamber. Even the guards looked nervous now. Every child in the galaxy knew the old stories. The ancient empire, a civilization so powerful that entire star systems once obeyed them. Then one day, they disappeared. No battle, no warning. Nothing remained except ruins and dead worlds. Most believed the stories were myths, but the council knew the truth. The ancient empire had been real, and now their signal had returned. A nervous diplomat stood carefully. "What does this have to do with humanity?" she asked. Varric touched the hologram again. The glowing symbol suddenly moved beside the image of Earth. The signal is responding directly to humans. The chamber exploded with panic. Voices shouted everywhere. That cannot be possible. Humans are too young. This is madness. Several guards grabbed their weapons nervously. Varric raised his voice loudly. Silence. The room slowly became quiet again. Then he spoke the words nobody wanted to hear. We believe humanity may be connected to the ancient empire. Complete silence filled the chamber. Some council members looked terrified now. Others looked furious. The insect commander stepped backward slowly. If humans carry ancient blood, he whispered, then they could become more dangerous than the empire itself. Suddenly, warning alert. Red lights flashed across the chamber. A loud alarm echoed through the station. Every council member jumped in shock. Guards immediately raised their weapons. One officer ran toward Chancellor Varric. Unknown ship detected, the officer shouted. Varric's face turned pale. That is impossible, he whispered. No ship could find the station. No ship. The officer looked terrified. The vessel appeared inside the nebula, without using jump gates. The room became colder. Another alarm sounded. Then another. Outside the giant windows, dark shadows slowly appeared inside the purple clouds of the nebula. Ships, multiple ships, moving silently toward the station. Nobody in the chamber recognized their design. Then suddenly, every screen inside the chamber turned black. The holograms disappeared. The lights flickered violently. A strange static sound filled the room. The guards aimed their rifles toward the doors. Several council members stood up in panic. Then a human voice calmly spoke through every speaker in the station. Good evening. The entire chamber froze. The voice continued. We apologize for arriving uninvited. Chancellor Varric stared at the dark screens in disbelief. The human voice became colder. But after hearing this meeting was about humanity, a deep metallic sound echoed across the chamber. The giant entrance doors slowly began opening by themselves. We decided to join the conversation. The doors fully opened. 3 human figures stood in the shadows, and behind them, something massive moved in the darkness. The entire council chamber froze in silence. Nobody moved. Nobody even breathed. The giant doors stood fully open now, and cold air from the station halls slowly entered the room. Red warning lights flashed across the dark walls, while alarms continued echoing through the hidden station. 3 humans calmly walked into the chamber. Their footsteps echoed across the metal floor. The alien guards immediately aimed glowing rifles toward them. Heavy armored soldiers surrounded the humans from every direction. Energy cannons powered up above the ceiling. But the humans showed no fear. The man in front wore a long black military coat with silver markings on the shoulders. His face looked calm, almost relaxed. Beside him walked a woman carrying a small data device glowing blue in her hand. Behind them came a third figure, a massive armored soldier nearly 7 feet tall. His black armor looked strange compared to normal human technology. Small blue lights moved across the surface like living energy. His helmet completely hid his face. The alien guards became nervous immediately. Something about the armored figure felt wrong. Dangerous. Supreme Chancellor Varric slowly stood from his seat. How did humans find the station? He demanded. The human leader stopped near the center of the glowing table. He looked around the massive chamber calmly, studying every council member. Then he smiled slightly. So this is the famous hidden council chamber, he said quietly. The insect commander slammed his claw against the table. Answer the question, human. Several guards stepped closer, but the human leader ignored them. My name is Admiral Nathan Cole, he said. Earth Defense Command. Whispers spread across the chamber. Humans were not supposed to have fleets powerful enough to reach this part of space. Varric narrowed his eyes carefully. No human ship possesses technology capable of entering this nebula, he said slowly. Cole looked toward the giant windows where the dark nebula clouds moved outside. You would be surprised what humans can build when someone secretly watches them for decades, he replied. The chamber became silent again. One pale-skinned diplomat leaned forward nervously. What does that mean? Before Cole answered, The woman beside him activated her glowing device. Suddenly, a hologram appeared above the table. Gasps filled the room. The hologram showed hidden council ships secretly observing Earth over many years. Alien probes hiding near the moon. Council agents watching human cities. Secret transmissions sent from inside the solar system. The humans had discovered everything. Several council members immediately stood up in panic. That information is classified. How did they access council records? This is impossible. Cole's calm expression never changed. For 32 years, he said, human intelligence tracked unidentified objects entering our system. The hologram changed again. Now it showed human scientists working deep underground inside hidden research facilities. We discovered your surveillance stations, Cole continued. Then we discovered your communication network. The machine-like council member spoke coldly. You are lying. The human woman smiled slightly. Then she activated another file. Suddenly, secret council discussions echoed across the chamber speakers. Real recordings. Alien voices filled the room. Humanity must never discover the council. Earth should remain isolated. Their growth rate is becoming dangerous. Fear spread across the chamber. The humans had somehow hacked the Galactic Council itself. Even Chancellor Varric looked shaken now. The insect commander pointed angrily at the humans. This is an act of war. The massive armored soldier behind Cole suddenly moved one step forward. Instantly, every guard aimed directly at him. The floor itself vibrated under his weight. But then something strange happened. Every weapon system inside the chamber suddenly shut down. The guards stared at their rifles in horror. Dead, completely disabled. Blue energy quietly moved across the armored soldier's body. Nobody understood how. Cole glanced back toward him calmly. Relax, he said softly. If we wanted war, this meeting would already be over. The silence became heavier. Then Chancellor Varric finally spoke again. Why are humans truly here? Cole looked directly at him now. We came for answers. The chamber lights dimmed slightly. Cole slowly walked around the glowing holographic table. For years, he said, human scientists have been studying a strange signal coming from deep space. Several council members immediately became nervous. Cole noticed. That signal led us here. The woman beside him activated another hologram. A strange red symbol appeared above the table. The exact same symbol shown earlier by Chancellor Varric. Instant panic spread across the room again. How do humans possess that symbol? One diplomat whispered. Cole's expression darkened slightly. Because the signal is speaking to us. Nobody moved. Then the woman played part of the decoded transmission. A deep ancient voice echoed across the chamber speakers. The inheritors must awaken. Humanity must return. The Empire rises again. Several council members looked completely terrified now. One old alien leader slowly sat down, shaking. No, he whispered. It cannot be happening. Cole folded his hands behind his back. We want the truth, he said firmly. Who were the ancients? Nobody answered. Varric looked older than before now. The truth, Cole continued, about humanity. The chamber remained silent for several long seconds. Then suddenly, boom, the entire station shook violently. Many council members almost fell from their seats. Warning alarms screamed across the chamber again. A frightened officer rushed through the doors. Emergency report, he shouted. Varric turned sharply. What happened? The officer looked pale. Unknown fleet detected outside the nebula. The chamber exploded with panic again. How many ships? The officer swallowed nervously. Thousands. Every screen inside the chamber activated automatically. Outside the station windows, dark shadows slowly appeared through the purple nebula clouds. Gigantic black ships, ancient ships. Each vessel was larger than entire cities. Their surfaces looked damaged and burned by age, yet glowing red lights still moved across their hulls like living fire. The council members stared in horror. Some immediately recognized the designs from ancient records. One diplomat whispered the words nobody wanted to say. The ancient empire. Then every screen across the chamber suddenly changed. A single symbol appeared. The red ancient symbol. The same one connected to humanity. A deep voice echoed through the station. Cold, ancient, powerful, we have returned. Fear spread through every corner of the chamber. The voice continued. For millions of years, we searched the stars. One of the black ships slowly moved closer to the station outside the window. And now, the red symbol began glowing brighter. We have finally found humanity. Silence consumed the chamber. Then the ancient voice spoke one final sentence. Prepare the inheritors. The council chamber stood frozen in absolute silence. Outside the giant windows, thousands of black warships slowly moved through the purple nebula like giant predators waking after a long sleep. Their red lights glowed inside the darkness, making the ancient fleet look almost alive. Nobody inside the chamber spoke. Even the alarm suddenly felt distant. The deep voice from the speakers echoed one final time. Prepare the inheritors. Then the transmission ended. Complete silence followed. Several council members looked terrified. Others simply stared at the giant ships outside the station windows, unable to move. Supreme Chancellor Varric slowly sat down in his chair. His hands were shaking. That voice, he whispered. It matches the oldest records. The insect commander turned toward the humans immediately. This is your fault. Guards quickly surrounded Admiral Nathan Cole and the other humans again. Even without working weapons, fear and anger filled the chamber. You brought them here, another council member shouted. Cole remained calm. We didn't even know they still existed. The armored human soldier behind him stayed perfectly still like a black statue. Then suddenly, boom, the station shook again, harder this time. Warning lights flashed across every wall. A frightened officer ran into the chamber. Enemy fleet surrounding the station, he shouted. No ships can escape. Panic exploded instantly. Council members began arguing loudly. We must surrender the humans. No, the station defenses can still fight. If the ancients attack, we are already dead. Varric slammed his hand against the glowing table. Silence. The room slowly quieted. He turned toward Cole carefully. What exactly do humans know about the ancients? Cole looked toward the black fleet outside. Not enough. The human woman beside him activated another hologram. A rotating image of the ancient symbol appeared again. 3 years ago, she explained, human deep space stations detected hidden signals beneath the surface of Mars. The chamber became quiet. Cole continued speaking. We found ruins buried underground. Several council members stared at him in shock. Impossible, whispered one diplomat. We thought the same thing, Cole replied. The hologram changed. Now ancient structures appeared above the table. Massive black towers buried beneath red Martian sand. Strange symbols glowing across broken walls. The chamber watched silently. Our scientists spent years decoding the ruins, Cole said. Most of the language was damaged. The woman activated another image. A single sentence appeared in glowing alien text. Project Inheritor. Fear spread through the chamber again. The insect commander stepped backward slowly. No, he whispered. Cole looked directly at the council now. We believe humanity was created by the ancient empire. The words hit the chamber like an explosion. Several council members immediately began shouting. That cannot be true. Humans are too unstable. The ancients vanished millions of years ago. But deep inside the room, some council members looked afraid because they already suspected it. Varric slowly lowered his head. The old legends warned us, he said quietly. Cole narrowed his eyes. What legends? Varric looked toward the giant black fleet outside the station. The ancient empire ruled nearly half the galaxy, he explained slowly. Their science was beyond imagination. They created new species, changed stars, controlled entire civilizations. The hologram above the table showed ancient worlds burning under giant black ships. But eventually, Varric continued, they became obsessed with one final project. The room remained completely silent. A perfect species. Cole folded his arms carefully. Humans? Varric nodded slowly. The ancients wanted beings capable of unlimited growth, a species that could evolve faster than all others. The insect commander looked furious now, and now they have returned to claim their creation. Suddenly, every light inside the chamber flickered again. Then all screens activated automatically. A giant figure appeared. The chamber gasped in fear. The being on the screen looked ancient and terrifying. Dark metallic armor covered its tall body. Red, glowing eyes stared directly into the chamber. Its face looked partly organic, partly machine, like something alive for too long. The being spoke slowly. "We are the Eternal Dominion." Its voice shook the room itself. "For millions of years, we crossed the darkness between galaxies. Nobody moved. We return now for completion of our work." The figure looked directly toward the humans. "Humanity belongs to us." Instant silence filled the chamber. Cole stepped forward calmly. "No," he said. The red eyes narrowed slightly. "You reject your creators?" "We reject ownership," Cole replied coldly. The chamber became tense immediately. The ancient figure stared at him silently for several seconds. Then it spoke again. "You carry our blood, our knowledge, our design." Cole's expression hardened. "Maybe," he answered, "but Earth belongs to humans." Outside the windows, thousands of black ships suddenly powered glowing red weapons. The station alarm screamed louder than before. Enemy weapons charging. Fear exploded across the chamber again. Several council members rushed toward emergency exits. Others shouted orders into communication devices. The ancient figure continued speaking calmly. "Surrender humanity," it said, "and the council worlds will survive." The chamber froze. The offer hung in the air like poison. Slowly, many council members turned toward the humans. Cole noticed immediately. The insect commander spoke first. "We should accept." Another council member nodded nervously. "One species is not worth galactic extinction." "You would hand over Earth?" the human woman asked quietly. No one answered. Varric closed his eyes for a moment. The station shook violently again. More black ships appeared outside the nebula every second. The ancient fleet seemed endless. Cole looked around the chamber slowly. "So this is your great council," he said calmly. "The protectors of the galaxy." Nobody spoke. Then suddenly, the armored human soldier behind Cole finally moved forward. For the first time, he removed his helmet. Several council members gasped. Half his face was human. The other half looked mechanical. Glowing blue lines moved beneath his skin. His eyes burned with artificial light. "I was born on Earth," he said quietly. His voice sounded deep and cold. "But I was built for war." The chamber stared at him in horror. Cole looked toward the council again. "Humans have known about the Dominion longer than you think." The woman beside him activated one final hologram. This time, hundreds of hidden human warships appeared around the nebula. Stealth ships. Invisible until now. The council members looked stunned. "You came prepared for battle?" Varric asked. Cole's expression became serious. "No," he answered. Outside the station windows, one giant black warship slowly turned toward the chamber. Red energy gathered inside its massive weapon. "We came prepared for survival." Then the ancient fleet opened fire. The moment the ancient fleet fired, the entire nebula exploded with light. A massive red beam crashed into the outer defense shields of the hidden station. The impact shook every floor and wall like an earthquake in space. Sparks burst from the ceiling across the council chamber. Several alien leaders fell from their seats. Warning alarms screamed louder than ever. Shield failure on outer sectors. Multiple defense platforms destroyed. Enemy ships advancing. Outside the giant windows, fire spread across the darkness of the nebula. Council warships rushed forward while thousands of black ancient vessels moved silently through the purple clouds. The battle had begun. Inside the chamber, panic spread quickly. Council members shouted over each other, while officers rushed between communication stations. "We cannot stop that fleet. Our defenses are collapsing. Prepare evacuation routes." But Supreme Chancellor Varric remained standing near the center table. His old eyes watched the battlefield hologram carefully. Then he looked toward Admiral Nathan Cole. "You knew this would happen," Varric said quietly. Cole did not deny it. "We hope we were wrong." Another violent explosion shook the station. Outside, one council battleship suddenly disappeared inside a giant fireball after being hit by ancient weapons. The black enemy ships continued moving forward without slowing down. The insect commander looked furious. "You brought death to this chamber." Cole stepped closer to the holographic battlefield. "No," he answered coldly. The Dominion was always coming. The armored human soldier beside him suddenly touched the side of his helmet. "Human fleet entering combat range," he announced. At that exact moment, the darkness inside the nebula changed. New lights appeared. Fast-moving shadows emerged from hidden positions deep inside the purple clouds. Human warships, hundreds of them. Unlike the giant heavy council ships, the human vessels looked smaller, sharper, and faster. Their engines burned bright blue as they rushed directly toward the ancient fleet. Several council members stared in disbelief. They had an entire fleet inside the nebula? One diplomat whispered. Cole crossed his arms calmly. Humans learned long ago that survival depends on preparation. Outside, the first human attack began. Instead of charging directly at the enemy, the human ship split into dozens of smaller groups. They moved unpredictably through the nebula clouds, disappearing and reappearing like hunters inside fog. The ancient fleet fired massive red beams across space, but many human ships dodged at the last second. Then suddenly, boom! One ancient destroyer exploded from the inside. Another lost power completely. A third drifted out of formation after hidden mines detonated beneath it. The council chamber watched in shock. "What are they doing?" Varric asked quietly. Cole studied the battlefield, confusing the enemy. The human ships moved unlike any fleet the galaxy had ever seen. They attacked from blind angles, vanished into nebula clouds, then struck again seconds later somewhere else. The Dominion fleet struggled to predict their movement. Human pilots acted almost recklessly, but every action had purpose. Another explosion lit the darkness outside. 3 small human fighters flew directly beneath a giant ancient cruiser. Seconds later, blue missiles pierced the cruiser's engines. The massive black ship slowly broke apart. The chamber fell silent again. The machine-like council member spoke carefully. "Humans fight with chaos." Cole nodded once, because predictable enemies die first. Suddenly, the station lights flickered again. A new transmission forced itself onto every screen. The ancient armored figure returned. This time, its expression looked colder. "Interesting," it said slowly. "The inheritors resist." Cole stared directly at the screen. "We are not your inheritors." The figure ignored him. "Humanity continues displaying accelerated tactical evolution." Its glowing red eyes shifted toward the battlefield, exactly as designed. The chamber became tense again. Then the figure raised one mechanical hand. Outside the windows, several enormous black ships slowly emerged from deeper inside the nebula. The council members gasped. These ships were far larger than the others. Planet-sized, dark metal covered their surfaces like moving mountains. "What are those?" one officer whispered fearfully. Even Varric looked shaken now. "Ancient Titans," he said quietly. The entire chamber became silent. Old legends spoke about these war machines. Massive mobile fortresses capable of destroying entire star systems. Most believed they never existed. Until now, one Titan slowly turned toward the hidden station. Its center began glowing red. "Energy levels rising," shouted an officer. "Impact estimate, 30 seconds. Fear spread instantly. The station shields were already damaged. One direct hit from a Titan could destroy everything. Council members rushed toward emergency exits again. Several guards abandoned their positions completely. But Admiral Cole remained calm. "Tell the human fleet to continue Phase 2, he ordered. The armored soldier beside him nodded silently. Outside, human ships suddenly changed formation. Instead of retreating from the Titans, they flew directly toward them. The council officers looked horrified. "They cannot fight those things." Cole watched carefully. "We're not trying to destroy them." The human fleet spread across the battlefield like scattered stars. Small stealth ships disappeared into the nebula, while larger cruisers opened heavy fire from long range. Then something strange happened. The Titans stopped moving. Their red weapons flickered. Several officers looked confused. Enemy targeting systems disrupted? The human woman beside Cole smiled faintly. Not disrupted, she said. Hacked. The chamber erupted with shock. That technology is millions of years old, shouted one council scientist. Cole looked toward the battlefield proudly. Humans are very good at breaking things. Suddenly, blue energy spread across the surface of one Titan. Its giant weapons slowly turned away from the station and toward the ancient fleet itself. The red-eyed figure on the screen finally looked surprised. No, it whispered. Then the Titan fired. A massive blue beam tore across space and slammed into multiple Dominion warships. Giant explosions consumed the nebula. For the first time since arriving, the ancient fleet began retreating. Cheers erupted across parts of the chamber. But Cole did not celebrate. He continued staring at the battlefield silently. Varric noticed. What is wrong? Before Cole could answer, another warning alarm activated. Different this time. More dangerous. The officer at the command station turned pale. New contact detected. The holographic battlefield zoomed outward. Far beyond the nebula, something enormous was approaching. Something bigger than the Titans. Bigger than fleets. A giant dark object slowly moved through space like a dead world. The chamber fell completely silent. The ancient figure on the screen lowered its head slightly. The Emperor arrives, it said softly. Then the transmission ended. And deep inside the darkness beyond the nebula, a single red eye opened. The giant red eye glowed in the darkness beyond the nebula. Nobody inside the council chamber moved. The massive object approaching the battlefield looked less like a ship and more like a dead planet drifting through space. Black metal covered its surface like burned skin. Giant rings slowly rotated around it, while red lightning flashed across the darkness, surrounding the structure. Even the Dominion fleet moved aside to clear a path for it. Fear spread through the chamber again. Several council members quietly stepped backward. One old diplomat whispered with a shaking voice, "The throne world." Supreme Chancellor Varric looked pale. "The ancient capital ship," he said slowly. "I thought it was destroyed millions of years ago." Outside the windows, human and council ships stopped firing for a moment. Every scanner in the nebula focused on the giant structure now entering the battlefield. The throne world, a mobile fortress large enough to carry entire civilizations inside it. Admiral Nathan Cole stared silently at the incoming object. The human woman beside him checked the data on her glowing device. Her face slowly changed. "This is impossible," she whispered. Cole looked toward her immediately. "What is it?" She swallowed carefully. "The energy readings," she said quietly. "The structure is powered by a star." Several nearby officers froze in shock. "A captured star?" One scientist whispered. The woman nodded slowly. They turned a living star into a power source. The chamber became silent again. Then suddenly, every screen inside the station turned black. A low metallic sound echoed through the air. The temperature inside the chamber dropped sharply. One by one, the dark screens slowly lit up red, and a face appeared. Not mechanical this time. Not fully alien either. It looked ancient, old beyond imagination. Its pale skin seemed almost lifeless, and glowing red lines moved slowly beneath it like burning veins. Its eyes carried something worse than anger. Absolute control. The being stared directly into the chamber. "I am Emperor Kaler." Nobody spoke. The Emperor's voice sounded calm, but every word felt heavy. "For millions of years, the galaxy feared my empire." Outside the windows, the giant throne world continued moving closer through the nebula clouds. "And now," the Emperor continued, "my empire returns." Several council guards lowered their heads instinctively. The Emperor's eyes shifted toward Admiral Cole. "You carry our greatest creation." Cole crossed his arms. "Humanity isn't yours." The Emperor remained silent for several seconds. Then he smiled slightly. "That belief," he said softly, "is exactly why humans survived." The chamber became tense again. Varric stepped forward carefully. "Why return now?" he asked. The Emperor's glowing eyes slowly moved toward him. Because the experiment is complete. Suddenly, the red screens changed. Ancient recordings appeared across every wall inside the chamber. The council members watched in horror. The recordings showed ancient laboratories. Human ancestors inside giant glass chambers. Scientists from the Dominion observing Earth millions of years ago. The humans in the chamber stared silently. Cole's expression hardened. The Emperor continued speaking. Most species evolve slowly, he explained. Predictably. Weakly. The recordings showed different alien races failing tests. But humanity... The screen showed humans surviving disasters, adapting, rebuilding, became limitless. The chamber remained completely silent. The Emperor walked slowly through the recording halls behind him. We designed humans to surpass every species before them. The machine-like council member finally spoke. Then why abandon them? For the first time, the Emperor's calm expression darkened. Because humanity evolved beyond our control. The chamber shook slightly as the giant throne world entered the outer edge of the nebula. The Emperor's voice became colder. Humans learned too quickly, adapted too fast. Even our greatest minds could no longer predict them. Cole stared directly at the screen. So you tried to erase us. The Emperor looked at him carefully. We tried to contain you. Outside the station, the Dominion fleet slowly reorganized around the throne world. Human ships pulled back deeper into the nebula. The battle had paused, but everyone knew it would not last. Then the Emperor spoke again. You have one final choice. The chamber lights dimmed. Humanity may return to the Dominion willingly. Several council members looked nervous immediately. You would spare Earth? Varric asked. The Emperor nodded once. Humans would rule beside us. The chamber fell silent. The offer shocked everyone. Not destruction. Power. Cole looked unmoved. And the rest of the galaxy? The Emperor's eyes slowly turned colder. The weak will obey. Several council leaders looked terrified now. The Emperor continued calmly. This galaxy has spent millions of years trapped in fear, war, and weakness. Humanity can help us rebuild order. The insect commander suddenly stepped forward. This is madness, he shouted. The Emperor ignored him completely. Instead, he kept staring at Cole. You know humans are different, he said softly. Even now, your species expands faster than every council race combined. Cole remained silent. The Emperor took one step closer to the screen. You feel it too, Admiral. The chamber became quieter. The hunger to explore, to conquer, to grow. Outside the windows, thousands of human ships waited silently among the nebula clouds. The Emperor's voice echoed across the chamber. Humanity was born to inherit the stars. Several council members slowly turned toward the humans again. Fear returned to their eyes. Because part of the Emperor's words sounded true. Humans had advanced faster than any known species. Faster than logic itself. Cole looked around the chamber slowly. Then he answered, maybe humans were created by monsters. The Emperor's smile faded. But we choose our own future. Silence. Then the Emperor sighed quietly. A disappointing answer. Suddenly, every Black Dominion ship outside the station activated glowing red weapons. The giant throne world itself began charging massive energy across its surface. Warning alarms exploded through the chamber. Energy spike detected. Target lock on the station. Estimated impact, 2 minutes. Panic returned instantly. Council members rushed toward exits. Several officers shouted desperate orders across communication channels. But Cole suddenly raised one hand. Wait! The chamber stopped. Cole touched a small device hidden inside his coat. Then he looked toward the giant throne world outside the window. For years, he said quietly, humans prepared for this moment. The armored human soldier beside him stepped forward. Blue energy moved across his body again. Then the soldier spoke. Phase 3 authorized. Outside the nebula, hidden human signals suddenly activated across deep space. One by one, massive dark objects emerged behind the throne world. The council chamber stared in disbelief. Entire moons covered in human weapons. Secret defense stations. Thousands of hidden warships. An entire human fleet nobody knew existed. Even Emperor Kaler's expression changed slightly. For the first time in millions of years, the Emperor looked surprised. Then Admiral Cole spoke one final sentence. "Welcome to humanity's trap." The entire battlefield went silent. Even the ancient Dominion fleet stopped moving for a moment. Behind a massive throne world, hundreds of hidden human warships slowly emerged from deep space. Giant defense stations powered on around nearby moons, their blue lights cutting through the darkness like waking giants. The Galactic Council chamber stared in complete disbelief. Nobody knew humans possessed this kind of power, not even the Council spies watching Earth for decades. Supreme Chancellor Varric slowly turned toward Admiral Nathan Cole. "You built all of this in secret?" he whispered. Cole kept his eyes on the battlefield outside the station windows. "Humanity learned long ago," he said calmly, "that survival depends on preparing for impossible enemies." Outside, the hidden human fleet spread across space. Unlike the organized Dominion formations, the human ships moved unpredictably. Some vanished behind moons. Others drifted silently without lights. Large carriers opened their armored sides, releasing thousands of smaller fighters into the darkness. The entire battlefield suddenly belonged to humanity. Inside the chamber, alarms continued flashing red. Dominion fleet repositioning. Enemy weapons charging. Multiple targets locked. Then, the throne world fired first. A gigantic red beam erupted from the ancient fortress, tearing through space toward the hidden human fleet. But seconds before impact, entire sections of the human armada disappeared. Warp jump technology. The beam struck empty space. Several council officers gasped. They moved entire fleets instantly. Cole allowed himself a small smile. Humans improved quickly. Suddenly, blue lights appeared around the throne world. Dozens of hidden human ships had already surrounded it. The Dominion fleet reacted immediately, opening fire across the battlefield. Red beams and blue plasma exploded through the nebula like storms of light. The final battle had begun. Human ships moved like hunters. They attacked in waves, disappearing before enemy weapons could lock onto them. Stealth bombers emerged from the purple clouds and targeted Dominion engines, while fast strike fighters cut through weak points in the enemy formations. The Council chamber watched the impossible happen. The ancient fleet, the same empire that once ruled galaxies, was struggling against humanity. The insect commander looked horrified. "They're adapting during battle," he whispered. Cole nodded once. "That's what humans do." Outside, one giant Dominion cruiser exploded after human drones crashed directly into its reactor core. Nearby, Council fleets finally rejoined the fight beside the humans. Old enemies now fought together for survival. Varric slowly stepped beside Cole. "You still helped us," the old Chancellor said quietly, "even after everything." Cole looked at the battlefield. "If humanity falls today," he replied, "the galaxy falls tomorrow." The station suddenly shook violently. A new warning echoed across the chamber. Enemy boarding ships approaching. The Dominion had launched ground assault forces. Outside the windows, dark armored transports rushed toward the hidden station like black arrows. Cole immediately turned toward the armored human soldier. "Commander Hale." The massive soldier nodded once. Without another word, he walked toward the chamber doors. Blue energy moved across his armor like living fire. Several council guards stepped back nervously as he passed. One young officer whispered quietly, "What is he?" Cole watched the armored soldier disappear down the hallway. Humanity's answer to monsters. Moments later, explosions echoed through the station corridors. The Dominion forces had entered. The chamber lights flickered violently as distant gunfire spread through the station. But outside, the battle only grew worse. The throne world slowly moved deeper into the nebula, ignoring the destruction around it. Its giant surface weapons continued firing across entire sectors of space. Human ships were fast, but the throne world was nearly unstoppable. The human woman beside Cole suddenly looked up from her device. "We found it." Cole turned quickly. "The core?" She nodded. "The captured star powering the fortress. If it overloads..." Varric's eyes widened. The entire throne world will collapse. But someone has to reach the core manually, she added quietly. Silence filled the chamber. Everyone understood immediately. It was a suicide mission. Outside, another wave of human ships exploded under Dominion fire. The battlefield was becoming more dangerous every second. Then Cole calmly removed the command badge from his coat. "I'm going." Several council members stared at him. Varric stepped forward immediately. "You cannot." Cole looked toward the giant fortress outside the window. "The Dominion came for humanity," he said. "So humanity ends this." The human woman lowered her head slightly, but said nothing. She already knew he had made his choice. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Commander Hale entered again. Black smoke covered parts of his armor. Blue sparks moved across his mechanical arm. Behind him lay destroyed Dominion soldiers across the corridor. "The station is secure," he said coldly. Cole nodded once. "Prepare a boarding shuttle." Hale immediately understood. "You're targeting the core." "Yes." The armored soldier stood silent for several seconds. Then he answered quietly. "Then I'm coming too." Outside, the final stage of the battle had begun. Human fleets launched everything they had toward the throne world. Thousands of fighters filled space, while hidden moon cannons fired massive blue beams across the battlefield. The Dominion fleet started collapsing under constant attacks. But the throne world continued moving forward, slowly, relentlessly, like a god refusing to die. Minutes later, a small black human shuttle launched from the station. Inside sat Admiral Cole, Commander Hale, and a small strike team of human soldiers. The shuttle disappeared into the chaos of battle. Red beams passed dangerously close while giant warships exploded around them. Inside the council chamber, everyone watched silently. Nobody spoke. The shuttle finally reached the surface of the throne world and entered through a damaged section created by human bombers. Then communication became unstable. Only broken signals reached the chamber now. Gunfire, explosions, human voices shouting inside dark corridors. Meanwhile, Emperor Kaler appeared once more across the screens. This time, anger filled his face. "You choose extinction over destiny," he said coldly. Varric stared back at him. "No," the old chancellor replied quietly. "They chose freedom." Suddenly, the entire throne world stopped moving. The battlefield became still. Then a powerful blue light appeared deep inside the giant fortress. The captured star core was overloading. Emperor Kaler's expression finally changed to fear. "No!" Inside the chamber, warning sensors screamed. Massive energy spike detected. Outside, human fleets pulled back at full speed. The blue light inside the throne world became brighter and brighter until it looked like a second sun inside the nebula. And then, everything exploded. A wave of blue fire tore across space. The giant throne world shattered into millions of burning pieces. The Dominion fleet lost power instantly. Across the battlefield, ancient warships drifted lifelessly through the darkness. The Emperor was gone. The war was over. Silence filled the chamber. Slowly, the surviving fleets of humanity and the Galactic Council floated together among the burning ruins of the ancient empire. Varric looked out across space quietly. "Humanity saved the galaxy," he whispered. But deep inside the darkness beyond the destroyed battlefield, far away where nobody was watching, another ancient red signal suddenly activated.